just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a
Hi. Good evening, all. This is the meeting of the Durham Parks and Recreation Committee. It's Tuesday, April 22. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So that was 6-0.
Yes, I
right.
changed it already.
Okay. We do have maybe a slight change to the agenda, but we're just going to keep it as is, and Rachel will do her thing at that time.
Yes.
Okay. So the approval of the minutes, next item is approval of the minutes
You
from...
want to have everyone go?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we should all go around and introduce ourselves. Chris, do you want to start? Thank you,
Chris
Rachel.
Gowland, in my second term.
Yeah,
And second meeting.
My first term was only 2
Wow.
months, but now I got my letter, I'm officially on board
Right.
for another 3 years, so.
thank you.
Hopefully
Thanks
I
for
can
doing
contribute
that.
as much as I did the last time. That's my hope.
I think you will. Okay.
Joe Friedman, my second term also.
Okay.
Rachel Gazowski.
Kathy Leach?
Tracy Strader.
Matt Swiss.
Al Holland.
Yes, so thank you to all three of you for signing up again. Joe and Chris and Al, we appreciate it. Okay, thanks for the reminder, Rachel.
Oh, and we didn't,
Oh, sorry, Bill.
Hi, I'm Bill Page. I'm the rink manager.
We're going to hear from Bill later.
I'm really just a spectator right now.
Yes, okay.
I didn't expect to.
A very important one, however. All right, let's see if I can get this back on track. So approval of the minutes from March 25. Rachel and I, before the meeting, made some very non-substantial changes. She clarified a few things from the Reach summer camp, just the number of people. We corrected the date of the egg hunt. And I saw just a couple typos. And then we also, Rachel corrected the date at the bottom of page 1. The 9 weeks of summer camp actually goes from June 23 to August 22. So I can make those corrections. Does anyone have anything else? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Tracy, for doing those minutes again, as always. So do I have, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 25?
So moved.
seconded.
Okay. All, as amended, all those in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
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 Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. All right, next item on the agenda is public comments. So is there anyone in the room, or there's 2 people on Zoom? Would anyone like to make a public comment? You're not required to, but. All right, thank you. Thanks for visiting with us. Okay, next item is roundtable. So this is where we would bring up any questions or comments on items that are not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything to talk about during roundtable? All right. I actually don't have anything today.
Everything's in order.
Roundtable, so, okay. It's because our agenda's so good, that's why. Okay, next item then, moving along, is update from the Parks and Rec Director and upcoming events.
Okay, so I'm going to make this one kind of brief because Bill's presentation is, I think, what we're all here for tonight. So, but just to give a quick update on Parks and Rec from our last meeting, we've made some progress out at Woodridge Park with the pickleball courts and getting things spruced up out there. We have 1 new court that's lined.
1.5.
1.5, yes, yes, lined with the paint. So the weather's been a little bit of a challenge for us to get out there and do some work. So it seems like when we have a free day, it's a rainy day. But we've got a nice stretch here. It looks like tomorrow we'll be able to pick up and do a little bit more work out there, and then we'll have to pause until after April vacation because we have some plans. Speaking of April vacation, we have gone back to our format of field trips for 3 days out of the week, which seems to be kind of like what works best for us. We've tried all kinds of different things over the February and April vacation weeks, and the field trips are really what people sign up for. They can, sign up for one, they can sign up for two, they can sign up for all of them. So it's kind of nice that people have the choice to pick and choose to fill their week for their kids. So we have 3 trips that will take off next week, and leaving Monday and Friday open, but that's on purpose, so.
Where are you going to go?
On one of the days is we're calling it an art day. So we're gonna go to this art center in Portsmouth, and they do some really neat stuff with the kids, like felting, dream catchers, really nice, like kind of quality projects. And then they're going to do a pottery class for the afternoon. Another day, so that's the other thing too with like April vacation, you never know, it could be 40 degrees and raining, or it could be 75 and sunny, and it looks like we're gonna have a nice week. But of course, if we planned all these outdoor things, it would be raining. So the kids will be indoors a little bit more than we probably would have planned had it been a summer. But the other one is like a indoor like adventure park, laser tag, trampoline, that kind of setting. And then another one is to Smitty's in Sanford. And they really treat us pretty good there. They like give us a whole, like the kids can bowl, they get unlimited arcade games, and then they get to have like their own private like movie theater and lunch. So that's what we have planned for
Sounds fun.
for the week, and some outdoor time in the downtime. So, and then we had our annual egg hunt this past weekend on Saturday, and of course the weather was amazing, so it made the event just like that much better. It was at the high school turf. We had a really fantastic turnout. Hard to tell exactly how many are there, but I mean, it was packed. Definitely, I'm thinking over 500 people came out for it. That's parents, kids, the whole shebang, but it was busy. We had some great support from the Hamel Scholars at UNH. They do all the stuffing for us of the eggs and get all that organized. And then also Oyster River Parents for Preschoolers. They do about like 700 eggs as well for the younger kids zone. So we put out like just under 4,000 eggs for the event, and we have 3.5 hunting zones now. And what we tried to do new last year was have like a 2 and under zone, and we set it up, but we kind of failed because of the wind. It was just like the eggs were just going everywhere. So this year we were actually able to execute that 2 and under zone, and it was perfect. It was really great to have that for them and see that in action. And then we also had help from the Oyster River National Honor Society students at the event. So all in all, it just felt like everything went really smoothly this year. The weather was great. The volunteers that we had were fantastic. And everyone just seemed like happy. And so it was a great event.
How long does it take when you unleash them, how long does it take to clear all the eggs?
Under 5 minutes. And it's pretty impressive. I think people know the drill now, so they all line up outside of the turf field. We close the fence, but then it's it's a good 5 minutes of getting everyone in and lined up, and they listen to where they're supposed to go, and they line up on the particular line on the turf that we have them on, and they go to their age appropriate zone. And I don't know, I'll just
Just say go and they
you
go.
but there's usually a couple that jump the gun and then you lose control. But this year, everyone was right on the line until it was time to go. So it was great.
And what's nice is the kids will stay there on the field, and it's like Halloween, you sort your candy and all that, so.
Yeah, and parents were,
So
happy.
they kind of hang out a little.
They did,
afterwards.
they definitely, this year in particular, they hung out for
Yeah.
quite some time because it was so pleasant outside.
Yep.
We've just been busy as well with all things summer, getting things squared away. We've been doing interviews for our counselor and training program. We've done some interviews for junior counselor positions and one regular counselor position. And then just all the planning and organizing and getting things ready there. We've got all kinds of bins to go through and organize and get rid of stuff. So it's a long process getting ready for summer, but we're getting closer and closer. And then we have one more session of our after-school programs, our spring session, that will start on May 6th, so just after the return of April vacation week. And that's our final after-school session of the school year, so hard to believe how quickly all that passed by this year. Starting the process to plan and organize the Memorial Day ceremony. Gonna be pretty similar to what we offered last year, but if anyone has any ideas of how to improve that or wants to help out, by all means, let me know. I don't have the date on that off the top of my head, and I didn't bring my computer.
26th.
The 26th, May 26th, yeah, 10 a.m. downtown, so. We do have
What
another.
date is that then? Is that the
Some-
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have another series of Discover Durham's Trails. I mentioned that at our last meeting, but we had our first one actually on Saturday. It was supposed to happen the Sunday prior, but it was like really that just miserable weather. So we postponed it to Saturday, and now we're requiring people to pre-register because we've had such large turnouts for these. So we had like 10 people come out for a vernal pool walk at Thompson Forest, and variety of ages were there, so all I've heard is good things about that. The next one is, shoot, I did not
It's in
write
the
it down. I
minutes.
want to say it's like May 18th. And where are we going for
May
that?
18, Doe Farm,
Doe Farm, yes.
and then Wagon Hill Farm, June 11.
Yeah, and the June 11th one is going to take the place of the Land Stewardship Subcommittee meeting.
Okay.
And so we'll do, like a tour of the shore and hear about the restoration project that's happening down there, but also Carolyn Singer, who sits on the Land Stewardship Subcommittee, is going to give us an update of what's happening at the barn and the Bickford Chesley House as well.
What time is that one?
8:30.
AM?
So-
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. The one at Doe Farm is birding, too, for anyone who's interested in that.
And if someone wants to pre-register, they go to your website?
Yes.
Parks and Rec website?
Yep.
Okay.
What
Let's
time's
see.
the birding one?
8:30.
The birding one is also 8:30?
Yeah, early. Gotta
Yep.
get out there.
Gotta see the birds early there,
Okay.
Joe.
Yep, that's when they're the most lively before they take their afternoon siesta. And then something else I can talk about further down in the on the agenda here, but I had a meeting with Great Bay Rowing and Todd regarding Great Bay Rowing basically coming back to Jackson's Landing on making that more of their home base. They've been using place in Dover on the river there, and they had kind of plans to build that out and make that more of their permanent home base and facility, but that has, I think, just abruptly kind of came to a not going to move forward status for them. So they've been trying to, find out where they were going to be. They like it at Jackson's Landing. It's a good home base for them. Of course, they have that whole community bay of the boathouse down there. But the tides are a big issue, so that's why they've really been relocating elsewhere for their program. But they're coming back to use it as their home base and have all sorts of proposed updates to make down there. And I think it will be great to really, revitalize that area, clean it up a little bit. There's just different elements down there that need to be fixed up and cleaned up. So actually, during April vacation, there's going to be a meeting down at Jackson's Landing between the town, UNH, and Great Bay Rowing to discuss some of the updates that they would like to make.
They're gonna clean it up a lot, aren't they? Like, it's been kind of shabby the last couple of years.
Yeah, so like in front of the boat, and I can pass this around, but in front of the boathouse, there was a bunch of trees that were taken down, and there's a lot of like just brush and, not brush, but overgrowth, things that haven't been cleaned out. It's also wet right there, but they want to put some new, like, nice racks for their boats. One of the things that I asked if it would be possible, like while they're constructing these, would they be willing to construct community kayak racks that people could use and be able to like put their boats there? And then, eventually we could potentially use it as like a rental system, if someone wanted to rent a rack space for a month or a season, something to work out. So they they thought, like if we purchased all the material, but they did the whole installation and build out of them while they're doing that. So they were receptive to that and had some conversations back and forth with Todd a little bit about it. So they're looking into things a little bit more on their end, but that could be, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was one of the things I was gonna ask, is anything that's gonna happen down there increase the ability for the community to use it, or, so I suppose that's one way.
Yeah, I would say that would be, it definitely makes it more usable. You know, if you have a kayak at your house and, you know, you want to go take it out by yourself, it's a struggle to put it on your car, and it's quite the process.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone like, you know, my size or whatever, and you have an SUV, or, you know, it's not easy to transport them around. But if you have the ability to potentially leave your kayak there for a weekend, or, you know, down the road, if we decide to like rent out one of those rack spaces, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but then that allows you to just drive down,
Yeah.
pull your boat off the rack pretty easily, and access the water.
Are you looking at the Parks and Rec having some kayaks to rent out as well, or no?
Not at this time, no.
Right.
But you would manage this rental thing? Would your department be managing the rental?
Yes, and I kind of foresee, like, if at this stage of the game, if this does go in, it would be something that it just goes in for the season, and it would be
Yeah.
something that we implement going into next year as
Okay.
more of a formal, you know, maybe there's always one or two rack spaces that someone can use as like a day use kind of thing.
I'm not familiar with Great Bay Rowing. Is that like a rowing club, more serious skull style thing, or what?
Yep,
what are they?
they're a rowing club. They do a lot with like a youth program here for the community or in the area, but they also do a program for adults as well.
Okay.
So a lot of like kids in middle school or high school,
Yeah.
they use it as kind of like their spring sport.
Okay.
And
So
they
rowing
operate
pool.
year round as well. You know, they have different opportunities, I think, in the fall, and rowing workouts in the winter, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Are they the ones that have a place down on 108?
No,
No,
different
that's not
company.
them, okay.
Yep.
Are they gonna clean up behind the building? And I understand they may be dealing with those flapping canvases that are ripped.
Yep, so they want to put a rack space on the back side of the boathouse there. And then in terms of the portable garage space, I guess, if you will, it's been that front area that was like the roll down door, I guess. That's been just wind blown and ripped, so they want to remove that and clean that up. They're not going to remove the tent space, but they would fix up that front area so it doesn't look so shaggy down there. And that to just add some other rack spaces. So I can pass this around if anyone's interested. And then meeting with Verani a couple weeks ago down there, there's on the back side of the boathouse, there's kind of like this walkway trail that goes up. She wants to close that down. Just doesn't make sense to have that there anymore. And then I think like UNH Rowing is leaving some like old boat trailers in basically like a drainage swale area that really needs to be cleaned out. So it'll be a good opportunity on the 28th to meet with all three groups and work some stuff out.
So I have a question. So how do you think this will or maybe won't work in with the ARC study that we're doing that, you know, does include the waterfront?
Right. Well, I mean, I think it cleans the area up down
Yeah.
there, and aesthetically will look a
So
lot.
kind of at least a nice cleanup until we know what else might happen. I guess I just wonder, is there any promises or whatever being made to Great Bay Mowing for rowing for long-term use?
So they have an agreement with the town to use that community bay
Okay.
from the boathouse. And basically, that's a standing agreement until, which I learned that recently, that it's just a rolling agreement with the town. And same thing with the agreement with UNH, unless one of the parties wants to present a change to it, and then everyone would get together to discuss, make that
So
change.
do they all know that we're doing this ARC study and something could come up eventually? where we would want to change something?
They do not know about that.
Okay.
But it's something that we can certainly discuss with them. When I look at like what they want to add to it
Yeah.
or change, I mean, there's nothing that I would say would significantly impact anything that we've
Okay.
kind of briefly discussed as part of that study.
What about that trail you said they're gonna close? I'm looking at a aerial here that has a trail that goes to the right of the boathouse and up the hill. Is that the one they're gonna close?
It would be, sorry, I just have to orient myself here. Okay, so it would be like this little guy right here.
That's it. So they'll keep open the main trail that goes up
This.
and connects to the others.
Exactly.
I mean, my thought is just, while they're doing the design, get your dibs in on the rack space, because that has great potential. That'd be really fun. And if, they already develop all the rack space and you try to come back later and get yours in, it may not be ideal. So just so that's built in when they're doing it. I mean, who knows what that will bring to your programming, but if you have the space, undoubtedly you'll use it,
So I
Yeah,
could-
that was part of the survey we did too, so that's why I was thinking when she was talking about it, maybe we wait a little bit and see what that says, but I'm not,
As long as you
Same,
don't
for
get
sure,
boxed,
but-
I could just see it like they do all the racks and it was like, oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Just while they're doing it, that they keep that in mind. We may not
Yeah.
have the funding to actually do the rack itself, but at least we have a spot in there in
Sure.
the area. And it probably is not gonna cost that much money to do a rack.
I don't think so, and I guess my thought is, it doesn't look like it would really impact anything we do further down there. For like a larger project, it would just, in my opinion, be able to allow the public to utilize the space a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if they're willing to construct and install, and all we have to do is pay a couple $100 for the materials,
No-brainer.
it seems like a win-win to me, and something
Yeah.
we should take advantage of while they're doing all of this work.
Is this a project that the Eagle Scouts would be interested in or not? It seems like they do
Yeah,
build stuff.
potentially.
At Parks and Rec sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like community
Could be
days.
definitely, I'm not sure, like what the process is or like when
Thank
they
you.
have to accomplish that stuff, so,
Right.
but yeah, it's definitely worth
Yeah.
looking into,
I think Dave, the fire chief, is quite involved with the Boy Scout organization.
right?
I mean,
We work pretty closely with, the troop 156 here in
yeah.
the local troops, so they're very active and, connect with them on a regular basis for other things.
Sure.
good, well, that sounds good.
That's it.
That's it? Okay, any questions or comments for Rachel? Alrighty then, thanks Rachel.
Yep.
Next on the agenda is Bill Page, the Churchill Rink manager. Thank you for being here today. Of
course.
I think you're going to do two things with us, right? First is the annual report, and then second is a look at the most recent architectural plans for the potential rink project,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
And I gave each of you a little packet. I'm sorry I didn't get it emailed to you in advance, but page 1 and 2 pertain to the annual report, and page 3 pertains to the renovations. So we'll wait on page 3.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but just go over it and highlight, and feel free to interrupt whenever you want if you have questions or comments about what we're talking about. This is the end of season report, so it's not my end of fiscal year report, which is different at this rink because the fiscal year and the season are split right in the middle the wrong way. So this year we left the ice rates the same, and I kind of foresee that happening for a while based on the fact that I have access to a poll of all the ice rates in New Hampshire at different rinks, and we are on the high end already of ice rates. And for what we offer, we're kind of lucky to be getting away with that, I think. So I don't foresee raising that anytime soon. On top of that, we're making pretty good money. At the end of each season, we're coming out in a good position. The only thing we did raise a little bit this past season was the season pass. The family pass went from $230 to $275, and the individual passes went from $115 to $140. And one of the reasons we did that is that I just saw like the number of season passes we sell is like going up and up and up. And then we end up with these like huge crowds of people. And, you know, I'm like, well, a lot of people coming. I know how to like tone it down a little bit. Let's raise the price. And it didn't work. We still sold more. But so anyway, it's really the families. Like a lot of families might have 3, 4, 5. Meldon families might have 6 kids. And I scratch my head a little bit. They get 4 kids for the $275. And I think it's 4 kids. Maybe it's the first 3 kids. But anyway, I'm going to look at that again to see if, you know, something should be done to make that a little bit more equitable.
That's the problem with a lot of these, you know, Epic Ski Pass, these, you know, over the last few years, they've had to struggle with that same thing. They started
Yeah.
selling all these
Oh, yeah.
passes, and then you'd go to ski and you'd leave by 11 in the morning because you only got one run in because they were overrun.
Right.
So, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know how they've resolved it, but it seems to have settled down a lot of the
Yeah.
ski areas around here.
I gotcha. Good point. I know one reason that like we sell a lot of individual passes is that it gives the teenagers on Friday nights and Saturday nights the ability to cut the pay line. We have a second line for people who have a season pass. So they can just come in and sign our logbook and then they're in. So I know that's like a huge benefit to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The ice sold this year was down a little bit, but I know exactly why. We lost the Tuesday night men's group. They decided not to do it anymore on Tuesday nights, the 9:30 slot. No big deal. We moved the Learn to Skate program in-house, where Oyster River Youth Hockey used to buy the ice from us for roughly $3,500 and run the program themselves. We took that in-house, so we lost the $3,500, but we gained it back in registration, so I'll tell you that in a minute. And then Oyster River Youth Hockey was down about $10,000 in rentals, mostly because they didn't have as many teams, therefore they didn't have as many games on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Which is also okay because we do really well with public sessions on the weekends. And, you know, for instance, like a busy public skate, we can take in, let's just say rough numbers, $1,500 between rentals and admissions and concessions. And we'll sell that same slot for $391.50 for a youth hockey game. So it's almost like a blessing, a little bit. But anyway, that number was still good. Our total group rentals income was $211,600. Ancillary sales, Chris is new, so I might back up a little bit and say we have 4 revenue streams at the rink. We have group rentals for groups that rent the ice on an hourly basis. Then we have weekly receipts, which is all the admissions for public sessions, skate sharpening, hot chocolates, stuff like that. Then we have donations, which is about 0 every year. And then we have advertising, which is the banners on the wall, which is about $4,000 a year. And then actually they just added a new one, sale of surplus property, because they finally let us start selling stuff that we didn't need anymore. So I had a new revenue line item this year. I sold, can't remember what it was, for $750. I can't remember what it was right now, but anyway, so that's where the revenue comes from. So this ancillary sales paragraph here is all the weekly receipts category. It just talks about public skating. The attendance at public skating was down. A child was down 1,195. The adults were up by 9, which is interesting. Skate rentals were down a little bit, but nothing much. Season passes was up by 11 total passes. It was also up by quite a bit of money because we had raised the price. Stick and puck was down a little bit. Pond hockey was up a little bit. And this, like, pond hockey could be dictated by how many sessions I have too. It's very, very almost impossible for me to track, like last year versus this year. How many sessions did I have? Did I have 10 more sessions? Is that where I'm getting my increase? Maybe, I'm not sure. And then the reduction in ancillary sales, I think about this sort of thing a lot, and I attribute this reduction to, this past year, to a great outdoor ice season. It was great pond hockey. Puddlelock Pond didn't have any problems because of warmth. And we also sold some more season passes, which means people aren't going to show up here on my revenue because they just sign in. I will say there's 402 people included in our season pass program. All the families
Nice.
and individuals add up to 402 people, which is a pretty big number. My gut tells me that when I do have a stack of papers from sign-ins that I haven't had a chance to like go through and look to see roughly how many people come for each session. But my gut says that the majority of people who buy season pass barely get their money's worth because I see the people and I know who comes a lot and I know who I never see because I ask them again, do you have a season pass? Yeah, we have a season pass. I'm like, oh, I don't see you very much. But anyway, moving on to Learn to Skate program, which was really kind of scary but fun for us. Over the past bunch of years, I don't know how many years, 15 years, I have no idea how many years because I wasn't here at the beginning, but Oyster River Youth Association ran the Learn to Skate program. And they would hire someone to run it, and it was usually a UNH student, I think. And then they would find a few more people, and they would get volunteers to come, and they would have the Learn to Skate lessons, and the rink had nothing to do with it. Last year, I got a call just before it was, not this season, but the season before, I got a call from the previous director of ORYA, and he said, do you want to take over Learn to Skate? And I said, why? And he said, I can't find coaches. I said, oh, great. You want to give it to me now when you can't find coaches and it starts in 2 weeks. That's literally what it was. Wow. So I was like, no, I don't want to take it. But actually, Matt's wife, Whitney, gave this person some guidance and said, why don't you go to UNH synchronized skating team and see if any of those girls want to coach it. And so Matt's wife kind of saved the day. The other Matt was able to find people through that. But one of the girls, the girl who was running it, she came to the rink and I was watching her do her work. And I was like really impressed with her demeanor and her professionalism. And so it wasn't long before he said, hey, want to work at the rink? And so I did. I hired her at the rink to work like the office, fun skates and whatnot. And slowly but surely, her and I decided we should take over Learn to Skate. And so I basically told Matt, I said, hey, we need to take over Learn to Skate. And really the motive was to run it as well as it could be run professionally and to grow skaters in the rink. So we need to grow skaters in the rink to make it continue to be successful. So that's what happened. And Stephanie, she skates on the team. She recruited all these other coaches from the team. I kept saying, you need to get me some freshmen. We need freshmen, right? Because I need this to cycle through forever. So Stephanie's a sophomore. She'll graduate next year. She may stick around. We'll see. But anyway, it's going to be good for the program. And like really, ORYA bought the ice from us for $3,500. And we had 95 registrants roughly for $14,000 in registration fees. And we were able to reduce the rate at which they pay from it. They had different rates because of the whole ORYA town gives money, town doesn't give money thing. But it went from $240 from out-of-towners down to, I think, $180 for Madbury. And we reduced it to $150 for everyone. So we could just get everyone coming for as little as possible.
So in other words, you're offering it for less price for families than ORYA was able to?
Not for families, just for individual registrants.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And was the 14,000 plus in revenue, is that gross revenue?
Yeah, that's gross.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done I have a spreadsheet at the rink. I didn't study it before I came up here.
Yeah,
but,
that's okay.
We did pretty well. I know we did at least double what we would have sold the ice for to ORYA for $3,500.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So that was really good. And we're already talking about, maybe we'll try to start some tot lessons, which always happen during the week when things are slow at the rink and the kids aren't in school or they're only in the mornings or afternoons, and we might do that next year. And we also may add another hour on Saturday. This year we did it in 1 hour of ice. And all these kids and all their parents and it was like an absolute zoo. It was a little stressful, but anyway, we might add a second hour of ice to it and try to grow the program to even bigger numbers. My next paragraph is staff. I absolutely just love my staff. Over the years, we've had ups and downs with staff, but right now I'm in a perfect place. I have a lot of really good people. And some of the younger kids I have now, they're kids that I met at the rink when I first got there, little tiny kids, and now they've grown up and now they're old enough to work. So they've started to be helpers that learn to skate and then work in the office taking money for hot chocolates and whatnot. but really love my staff. We have a lot of fun. They're typically all happy-go-lucky people who are great with the customers, and I really appreciate them. General comments. My biggest nightmare this year was the solar array. The inverter failed on the solar array. I don't know if anyone knows about this. Probably not, because it's not something that gets talked about. But a couple years ago, I noticed that my bills from Revision Energy stopped coming to the rink. So I called town hall and I said, "Where's my Revision bills?" Oh, the town they bought the lease out on the solar. You were on council then?
No,
No,
I
okay.
knew they were talking about it. It's that
Yeah.
a 5-year increment is when the break-even point is to buy out the array.
Yeah. So they bought it out, and so the rink now gets the benefit of those kilowatt hours that are generated. However, the first thing I said to myself is, this is going to backfire on me. And so sure enough, I just finished a $12,000 repair to replace this component that's super expensive, that they don't make anymore, that you can only buy rebuilt ones. It's only guaranteed for 6 months, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see what happens.
Man.
But it was really, I don't know anything about solar panels. And as a rink manager, I know almost everything about the refrigeration system in the Zamboni. But the solar panels were very tricky to deal with, and it was a little bit frustrating. Anyway.
So through that experience, the town is acknowledging that maybe they're not the best solar.
I saw Todd email that to-
owners as well. So in the new rink, if it happens, that may be a third party that operates the solar.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it does generate the electricity, but you gotta know what you're doing to make
Right.
it work all the time.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the rink hasn't had the benefit of solar long enough to really see any benefit, right? Because we always just paid for the power. The rink didn't get free energy from day one. We just paid Revision. So anyway,
Yeah.
and then a couple
You're paying
seasons.
at a very good rate.
What's that?
You're paying at a very good rate, though, for the power that you're using.
We have a good rate?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the benefit that you're getting. You're paying for power, but at a very good rate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you didn't have to pay up front for any of the material. But I think to that point, though, and it's good that you've now gone through the pain and suffering, because I think it really was a learning experience with those power purchase agreements.
Right.
And, a lot of them have come due now where people bought them out and they're finding out what some of the issues are. So as you move forward, the next one, you
Yeah.
won't hopefully repeat
But
mistakes.
it's a little bit of a side note, but the town had the ability to buy the Lee solar array and again, looked at the same experience and said,
Yeah.
you know what, these other people do it all the time, the fee is okay, and the rate that we're paying is good, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what decision was made
Right.
as far as
I
the other
mean,
one.
I think really the reason the town got into solar in the first place was to be green, right?
That's right.
Not to save money. I mean,
That helped.
was it a little bit?
It's like,
Yeah, definitely helped.
since you are doing the purchase agreement, it allows you to get a good rate and to have it stabilized.
Right,
And
for
you
a long
weren't really, you weren't really facing the fluctuations of natural gas. So it was a good deal, but again, it was a learning experience. And having somebody run it is infinitely easier than trying to fix it.
But you have a new inverter now, and maybe it'll last a long time.
Maybe,
Or 6
maybe,
Let's hope.
yeah. But they're already, through the process, I learned, well, if you're gonna replace the roof in a couple of years, I'm like, well, we're not ready to go there yet.
No.
So this is right. So you should just take that old unit off anyway, because it's not what's good anymore. So it'll end up being, yeah, anyway. I'm fine with it. I hope to see some benefit in the next couple of years
Yeah, you will.
in savings.
Yeah.
So the refrigeration plant was really good all season. Did have one. It was so cold for so long that our cooling tower, our system was from the south, Louisiana. They moved it up here. They should have put a tank in the warm space of the refrigeration room, but they didn't. They left the tank outside in the tower, okay? Which is problematic in an outdoor rink when it gets really cold. It just sits at, not doing anything, and it'll freeze up rock solid. So I drain it when it's cold. And we can still run it, but we just run it with the fan only, not the pump. Okay? So anyway, this year it was like 6 weeks it was empty. And I went to fill it back up because the weather was warming up, and I said to myself, oh, look, it's leaking like a sieve. So there was so many leaks in it that weren't there before. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so I gotta fix that because I had to plug it up with Flex Seal and hockey pucks and wood blocks. I only needed like another month out of it and it worked fine. But,
So Bill, can we move it along?
It's like MacGyver.
sorry. But you don't like Phil Swift?
I don't know who Phil Swift is.
All right, Zamboni. Was great all season. Looking forward to getting the new one.
Flex Seal family of products.
Yeah, you got to believe in them. Off-season projects, nothing really major except the corroded ice slab fittings again, which I need to reinvestigate because we didn't replace them all. So I gotta check into that. We didn't have any leaks this season that I know of. But anyway, that's it. A lot of other small projects: painting, cleaning boards and glass, replacing broken gate latches on the penalty boxes, blah, blah, blah. Then the bottom paragraph this is actually fiscal year numbers at the bottom. I don't report on half a season worth of financials at this review. So anyway, we're sitting in a really good place. We made a net profit. This is huge. I think this was a record actually. Revenue of $20,000, expense of $303 for a net added to fund balance of $117,000, which was $24,000 more than last year. So it was a really good fiscal year last year. I think I already reported on that. And then so our fund balance right now on the next page is at 521, 540, 89. That's what we have in the bank, strictly for use by the rink. There's already $91,000 encumbered out of that though for the Zamboni purchase. Is the only thing I think is encumbered. So whatever that is, but I'm happy with over 200,000. We got 521 right now, so that's good. Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Any questions on that?
I had a quick question on the people who work with youth, like maybe the learn to skate people. Do they do the same sort of minors protection training or whatever that like a camp counselor might do? Or
They do learn to, when we decided to take over Learn to Skate,
yeah,
we joined Learn to Skate USA, which is a national program that facilitates all that stuff.
okay,
Background checks and whatnot. And we joined that because they have a curriculum, they have little badges you can give the kids.
training.
Like a
Yeah.
safe sport.
Safe sport.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they have to do safe sport or not. I can't remember. I think so.
I think-
If they're over 18, they do. I can't remember.
But they're basically doing some training or some
Yes.
checking before they're working with the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, they have to. A lot of them these girls are already signed up for it
Yeah.
when they came, Learn to Skate USA's program. But,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, well, thank you to you and your staff. That sounds like a great year.
Yeah, it was a good year.
Yeah.
It was a little too cold, but
A rink guy saying it's too cold. Okay.
yeah. All right, so moving forward, Rachel and I met with Todd yesterday about this subject, about everything. We did the season recap. We also talked about the plan.
Yeah.
And I guess in general, like, I was a little worried what he was going to say because I just talked to him about it before and I went back in and everything was fine. And what came out of it was, yeah, it's time to start talking about this in public. It's time to start seeing what sort of support you might have. And then at the end, what we figured out is, like this, just to back up a tiny bit, the site that we have to work with has been very challenging because of the footprint and the surrounding land that we have to work with. They basically built the rink, like, it's not a very big building, so expanding within that building and still having a legal playing surface is like not gonna really work. Like we can't do everything inside. So we've had to grow out. And so, oh, it's up there and you guys are looking. So basically, we're kind of pushing the envelope, if you will. And the next step is going to be actually hiring a local civil engineer to look at what we've come up with to see if it will fit. the architect who did these renderings had a site plan from a prior, like, survey or whatever it was that we had on file upstairs that I shared with him, and he put it on, it's pretty close, and we know we're encroaching on some, you know, a little gully here and a little gully there, that sort of thing. But we need someone with like local knowledge of, like, you know, wetlands and banks and all that stuff to see if we can do it. And what Todd and Rachel and I agreed to was that we should do that before we start showing it to the people and saying, hey, you want to donate to this? And then we don't want to find out after the fact that you can't fit it all in, and so you can't have the multi-purpose room or something like that. So we're going to try to make that happen pretty quickly.
I may have someone that you could talk to.
I would, yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And I was going to comment, because the first thing I noticed when I looked at the plan is like, okay, that's that's maybe an Iowa or something. It's not our
a what?
site. It's not our site. So it's the most important thing is to see what the site plan is, and the plot and the building fitting on it.
Yeah.
And along with that, since it will be non-residential, is everything, which is like soil type, drainage, all that, in a not super expensive way, just to make sure that it's viable, I think is critical.
And FYI, it's not our site because I didn't want to pay to make it our site. I mean, literally, between these renderings and the estimating, which is what I'll talk about next, is like I've spent like almost 50 grand on this stuff. And to have him put in Great Bay with some kayaks on it?
No. I just meant
Would've looked great.
The actual plot is what
Yeah.
we're looking at, along with the wetlands. We don't really, it doesn't have to be beautiful. We just want like what
Yeah,
the
of
deed
course.
looks like.
And you-
Of course, and if
Yeah.
you have to go in the wetlands at all, and
Yeah.
how it impacts the playground.
For sure,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I
sure.
was gonna
And
say,
and the cemetery.
is
Yeah.
the playground gonna have to go?
No,
Okay.
no. It might be
needs to get
new.
modified.
Yeah, it might be new or
I'm going to
modified.
ask the same question I asked on the other thing then. What's the timing then of this versus the project we're doing, and what data we may get from that? And so, does one go before the other? Do they go at the same time?
We're gonna get the data from that report well before this is gonna go anywhere
Okay.
officially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think Al has a good point, though. I think when we get to the point where we're trying to talk to the public about this, it's got to look the way they know it looks. You know, it's got to
Yeah.
be, oh, yeah, I can see where that would be. Oh, yeah, that's nice right there. You know, where if you're looking at like Iowa, you know, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not maybe making the
Cornfields?
connection
Yeah.
quite as much. you
I
know?
mean,
Oyster-
the hope would be on like GIS, which we have, and everything. We can kind of drop an overlay. I mean, we can make
Yeah.
it look
Right.
pretty. The more technical element of it is clearly how it fits in the site, along with the
Yeah.
setbacks, wetlands,
Right.
any drainage, anything else that would be a hindrance to actually the footprint of the actual building.
Again, it seems in a preliminary basis, those two big things will be the playground and the back.
Yeah.
How far back can you actually go?
Yeah.
Right? It's a steep drop off the hill, so what can you do?
Yeah. Right. And I poked around a little bit with people who know that business, and I was told, yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I agree, we're close to it. Like I know exactly where it would be. There's a stump right there, you know, and it's,
Isn't there a cemetery there?
There's a
there is.
cemetery.
That's the other way.
At the site, so you
Yeah.
definitely have to deal with that
Yeah.
too.
yeah, the cemetery setback's 25 feet.
Okay.
That's the law in New Hampshire. So,
But there's another slope that might be able to be filled in too, I understand. On the right side where that building is pushed out, as you look
Right-
right there.
right here?
Yes.
yeah, that's the other, like, there's a few little issues around the building. That's
There's a
one
hole
of them.
there.
Yeah, that's one of them. Out back is another one.
That's the one I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It's really hard to.
But really what, you know, Rachel mentioned this, and I already knew it, but thank you for the comment. Like, I don't have any way to get any equipment right now, in my mind, to the back, right? So if we want to like put bark mulch at the playground, for instance, I mean, maybe we'll have a playground that has that rubber stuff. We won't need bark mulch, but I really want to be able to
You
get.
won't be able to put bark mulch in with a new playground.
Yeah, so.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's
Can't
gotta
do that
be,
anymore?
not with the new playground. It needs to meet, a new standard.
You have to have a pathway to the piece of equipment for ADA, I think, at least that was built.
The surfacing needs to be they call it like a poured, there's different variations of it, but basically it's like a poured surface.
Yeah.
And that's a state reg?
that
Yeah.
is
For new
for
construction.
new construction. Yep.
It came in, that was a bill last year, so it was like, the issue was if you used like bark or something like that, it made it more difficult for handicap to access the actual piece of equipment. I didn't know if it had actually gotten signed into law, but it came through us, but that's, yeah.
Is that the pulverized rubber, like the middle school field, or something different?
It's like
No.
a track material, I think, like
No, there-
it's called rubber turf, isn't it? Like
There's
a-
different, yeah, they call it like a poured, there's, I think it's called like a poured surfacing. There's different variations of it. And
But it
people,
basically allows a wheelchair to.
yeah, yep. And people have done different things where they take like rubber matting and they put it over like a bark mulch, you know, like something that has holes in it so that water can get through. That's not nearly as appealing. But yeah, if you are in like, I guess probably the best visualization would be like if you've been anywhere in like the Boston area, you know, to like one of those playgrounds. The surfacing is all, you know, it's got like a little give to it, but it's all like one flat surface.
All right, so just moving along. Kathy, guess what?
Small.
Yeah, it's really, like, my blow-ups didn't work. See this? I got like a problem with my blow-ups. Just real quick, like, this is the entrance. We currently enter right here. You can see my mouse. This will be the entrance, and one problem that it kind of works now, but in a lot of rinks, and like the flow of traffic when you have up close to 200 people coming in for a public skate, you want to get it right. So, you know, they'd come in and go here, and then that's the reason for these skate changing rooms. Like, there's not enough room in the lobby for everyone to get dressed, and they're also uncontrollable. They just come in and go in. If the lobby's the place they're going to get dressed, then I have no idea whether they paid or not. So it just is a mess. So you got to channel them in, you know, down here. And we have such conflict now between sessions. If we have a hockey game and then we have a public skate, we've just got complete chaos down here. So keeping the hockey players on the other side would be these 4 locker rooms. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be huge. And then down here would be the local teams, girls and boys varsity, which weren't in here at one point, but then the boys won the state championship, and I was like, we got to put those in there because.
And the
it's-
girls have made it to the state.
Yeah, they've been in it like 5 times.
3 years in a row.
Yeah, I was forgetting about them.
Right,
And
My daughter plays. Oh, I gotta stick up for her.
yeah,
and we want them skating here.
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm feeling guilty.
No, that's good, that's good. that
The
you
extra
got-
locker room.
But really, it would open up a whole new avenue of fundraising. Was one of my thoughts about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that a movable wall between, in the pink rooms next to the?
Right now, it's a closet for chairs
I
or
see.
storage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have thought about the movable wall, but, and believe me, nothing in this is in concrete. It's just trying to get it to a point where we can start working on whether or not we can actually do it or
Trying
not.
to get everything in, yeah.
You know?
Pickleball courts too, yeah.
Could you quickly go around and identify things that are not there today? Like what, those pink areas, what's there? Is that,
On this wall right here
Uh-huh.
is where we have the rink office, men's room, the ladies' room, the Zamboni room,
existing.
locker room 1, no, the refs room first, then a small little refs room, and then locker room 1, 2, 3, 4, and then way at the end here is the refrigeration room. And that's all the space we have right now,
Okay.
just along that one wall.
And I
okay,
would
so you're
say-
able to move some of those functions elsewhere?
Correct, yeah.
And I would say the term locker room is kind of loose in terms of what they are now. Like, it's just a big room with benches.
Changing
in it
room.
Mostly.
Yeah, it's, I always,
Yeah.
when I'm like typing things out, I'm like, do I call it a locker room?
Well, no, I-
Or do I call
I
it
know
a
why you
changing
do,
room?
but-
Or is it a lace-up
It's
room?
not
You know?
much, is what I'm saying.
A lace-up room.
A lace-up room, I came up with that
Yeah,
at one
yeah.
point. Yeah,
The warming house.
yeah, warming hut. And then, so really, one of the biggest deficiencies in our current rink is that the Zamboni has to drive through all the people who are coming and going, right? It's like a horrible setup.
Not recommended.
So getting the Zamboni to the far end is like one of my main priorities. And then this would become the refrigeration room over here. There's a refs room here, a multi-purpose room big enough for 2 pickleball courts,
I understand.
if we so choose. Now that of course, the architect said, what do you want me to put? I go, make it big enough for 2 pickleball courts. He's like, it's gonna go into your gully a little bit. I said, I know, but I want to start that way rather than start small, one, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see if it works, but it is officially big enough for 2. Then we have a little waiting room here for the multi-purpose room, so really, like, you know, changing over or whatever, but also people could access it when the rest of the facility was closed, or when the rec department was closed, they could get in this way with a key code or something like that, I suppose.
So the big pink one is, it says Parks and Rec activity, so that's
Multipurpose.
not Parks and Rec offices, that's
No.
like what he called a multi-purpose room?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. The offices were, like, you would enter here, and then we'd have I'll show you pretty pictures in a minute, bigger. A reception area, and then 1 office, 2 offices, a kitchenette, storage, bathroom. And I can't remember what this last thing is, but
It says waiting room on it.
Is the net removable from a pickleball court? Like if you're not using it as pickleball, you just take the net right out and roll it
Yeah.
up and you can use this multiple.
Yeah.
You put it right in like a small duffel bag.
Wow.
It's that
Yeah.
portable.
Yeah.
so just a little different view, but this would be the entrance to the rec. This is the infamous overhead door. Every facility like this needs a large overhead door. We don't currently have a large overhead door. We have a small overhead door. But if we want to get in, for instance, the town's bucket truck to work on the lights, we can't fit it. We can barely fit the Bobcat in. We can't fit the dump truck in to get the ice out. Anyway, so, and you also need this if you're going to do any special events that require like a car getting in or a truck or a boat or anything like that. And literally, this is the only place on the whole building me and the architect could figure out where to put that door. So that's why it's there. It seems out of place, but there's no other place for it. There's the night view. Love the night view.
Yeah, it's nice.
That would be the entrance to the Parks and Rec offices. It would be a separate entrance. It would also be accessible from the rink side, but it would be a, less significant entryway, if you would, that would probably remain locked a lot of the time. This is like that window right there on the left is one of the offices in the rec department. And this is just showing what would be potentially left out back for space before you get to the gully. I have no idea if it's accurate, but I told them to put a retaining wall in there, so there is a retaining wall there. But you can see that's what's down at the other end of the door to the multi-purpose room. And then I think that's a emergency exit for the multi-purpose room. And then the retaining wall with those fake trees. This would be like a little nook in the back that would be left for the playground. I will say at this point that, like, if for some reason we could figure out a way to slide that multi-purpose room all the way down to the end of the rink, there's like a much bigger available footprint there, but it's so far from the front of the building, we would need this crazy long hallway to get there. But it's unfortunate that the gully's in the wrong place for us. But that's one thing I've tried to figure out in the past. But there's still plenty of room for a playground. Another view of it. This is along the back.
Do you know, before you move on, do you
yeah.
know on the playground, did they do any calculations at all to see if it's the same size as the existing?
No,
And it
wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be.
no, it wouldn't be.
Be smaller.
It'd be smaller.
And is there no room
Well,
for
not
that to
necessarily,
expand
because-
either?
What's that?
And is there any room for it to expand?
The
That
playground?
playground, if we take some of its land closer to the building?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think, like, I think if you wanted to knock that playground down and rebuild a new playground, you could build one the same size. It would just be further back where the swings are, maybe,
That's true.
something like
Well,
that.
that's what I'm asking.
It's just, there's enough room back there to have a suitable playground, is the way I would look at it at this juncture.
And I think a bit of a smaller footprint would be easier to maintain currently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of maintenance to that footprint that's currently there, and it, come midsummer, it does not look very well maintained out there.
one of the features of that playground is like an earthen stone wall walkway that takes up a lot of space. That's really just a walkway to get onto the playground, which could easily be different and smaller.
I mean, it's a very dated structure that's
Yeah.
out there, so playgrounds have really come a long way, and we could really put something
Yeah.
25 years
quite,
old.
quite nice out there that would,
This is around the back. I just noticed for the first time that it looks like there's a flood going on. There's really high water there. It's never going to be that high.
It's a swimming pool, huh?
Yeah, this is the roadside again. Just quick look at what would be the windows looking into our lace-up rooms or our multi-purpose rooms, whatever you want to call them. That would be access into the Zamboni room there. Another retaining wall. Other angle.
Look at the water. Right.
I'm gonna go through quick to get inside. So this is inside the rink in the lobby.
Wow.
I know you all had, I think, some chance to look at these, so I don't want to take a lot of time, but a little ticket booth with a snack shack up there. And I tried, like, I know it's probably more expensive than whatever, but I really tried to suggest that we can make this look like an old sort of Durham-esque building with brick and like antique board looking things. And it's probably hard with this computer graphics program to make it look right, but I'm a big fan of like bricks and old looking buildings, as you can see from the front of the office at the rink, which I tried really hard to make look rustic, you know, and I think that to fit in this neighborhood, this rink should look kind of rustic. This would be, let's see, I think this is the back office of the rink. This is viewing into what would be like the concession, skate rental, skate sharpening room. This is the hallway. On your left would be where the lace-up rooms are. And then I think these doors are the men's and ladies' room. I don't know, that's a horrible. And then there would be windows. One of the problems we have at our busy public skating sessions, mostly with the teen skates, is that they're behind doors in changing/locker rooms. I can't put a camera in there because it's your changing room/locker room. And they're in there and like, who knows what's going on, you know? And so anyway, rooms with the glass windows would allow us to like walk outside and see what's going on. And it would be a much better environment for keeping things safe, if you will. This is the roadside. There'd be some sort of an elevated platform to make the seating ADA accessible. This is where the varsity team rooms would be. One's a closet, one door per team room, and then another doorway. I don't know what the heck is going on there. One of the team rooms. This is from the other end, looking back towards the lobby. This would be the office, the current office end of the building, and we had to really try hard to fit bleachers in there. And like the current ice is 200 feet long. The minimum length to be legal is 185. I think we're at 192 now, and I kept like we got to get some bleachers in here at the end, so we've shrunk the rink a tiny bit. There's like a couple other rinks around that are only 185, like Rochester's only 185. No one cares. It doesn't matter at the level of hockey we're trying to accomplish here. So,
Do you have an estimate for how many seats in those bleachers?
you know, I don't remember what
Is
it
that
is.
the only spot with bleachers or?
No, it's on the other side too.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, see that right there? There's like 2 rows and a place to stand there, and that's along the whole wall where the locker rooms are right now,
Okay.
currently. Joe, my guess is like with standing room, and there's a lot of standing room, and there's actually room for portable bleachers, but I took them out for now. Like in diagonal opposite corners, there's room for like some sort of bleacher that we could fold up or whatever. They're just not in the pictures now. But I'm guessing that we would probably be able to fit almost 500 people, not seated, but say 3 or 350 seated, and then standing room 150, 200, something like that.
Wow.
So it would be adequate for what we need to bring in there. It's one of the regular locker rooms. I'm just whipping through, 'cause I made that scoreboard. What do you think? Pretty good, huh? Photoshopped that scoreboard. Yeah.
Yeah, can you skip to Rachel's area, the Parks and Rec?
Yeah, it's gonna come
Inside
up.
of
Here we
that?
go. Ready? We're gonna go through that door. Ready? Here we
Yeah,
go.
I'm ready.
Bam, we're in the lobby.
Wood
Right there.
floors.
Yeah.
You can see Rachel behind the counter saying, "Can I help you? Want to sign up for pickleball?"
I'm totally envisioning myself right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then look at that. You got 2 offices in the back, a couple windows. That's behind the counter.
Kitchen.
The little kitchenette. That would be the hallway. I don't remember what order they're in, but, oh wait, no, this is looking back towards the front office, because that block wall on the right is the back side of the locker rooms for the rink. So we'd have bathroom, storage, kitchenette. And this is looking the other way. That door at the end is going into the waiting room of the multipurpose room. That's the multipurpose room waiting room, looking into the multipurpose room. Same.
So for the multi-purpose room then, I didn't go back to the front, do they have to go through the Parks and Rec area to get there? Or is there an entrance just kind of from the outside?
There is one from the outside,
Okay,
which probably Rachel wouldn't want to use unless they weren't open,
right.
or whatever.
Because there could be community events there that don't necessarily have anything to do with you wouldn't have to be there, say.
Well, like
you
we
know?
currently have like yoga that takes place
Yeah.
at the building when we're not there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
instructor can open and
Yeah.
close. So it could be they could use that entrance to do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we couldn't either, put, say, a door in the hallway so that if someone had access to pickleball, they would only have access to 2 bathrooms, the multipurpose room and the waiting room,
Yeah.
something like that, And I didn't know what to say about windows, but windows are expensive. So I learned that, so we could take some windows out, save some money on that, but that's the last picture I have. And then page 3, I told you about page 3 on the little thing. The other day before I met with Todd, I'm like, I gotta take a stab at figuring out where this money might come from, so I just whipped up, called it my funding ideas sheet. And I basically, I got the project priced once before we thought about putting recreation in there, and then once after. So there's 2 columns, with recreation and without recreation, so you can kind of see the difference in the 2. And basically, I came up with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources for funding. Fundraising, bond, rink funded. By that I mean the town lets us take out a bond, and because we generate enough revenue, or net revenue, we can afford to make a bond payment of $100,000 a year, say. Grants, if there are any available left in the world. Town contribution, and by that is, I'm talking about, what do you call it? A referendum type vote. We want to fund this project.
So the referendum you've got under town contribution, not the bonded part?
Right.
Okay.
Bonded part is just, would be, the rink borrows money to pay back out of its operating budget. It's been a while since we've had one. They had one before I got there for like an $8,000 job, which I thought was ridiculous. But that was back when the rink didn't have any money at all, so.
But wouldn't the referendum then be bonded as well?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of have 2 bonded areas here, right?
Yeah, the town council, I think, Joe will probably know better than me, I think you don't have to put it on a warrant if it's less than 2.5 million, is that right?
Something like that, 2.5 or
I can't
2.3,
remember
something like
exactly.
that.
So otherwise, the council just votes yes, no on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But if you want to do a major bond, if you wanted to bond $4 million, for instance, that would
You have to put that on the warrant.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm wondering then. So between the two that sound like they're bond, we're looking at 3.1 million, is that right?
Right,
Looking at that
but
right?
just know that my intention for bond rink funded
Yeah.
is that we would pay that debt service
Oh, I
out
see,
of our
okay,
operating
rink funded,
budget,
okay.
not,
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all right, yep, I missed the rink funded.
Yeah.
part there.
and the town would probably be looking for some payments on their bond from operating budget as well. I'm not
Why?
saying all of it, but. it
From the
might
rink
be.
operating budget?
It might be, if
Yeah.
they float a big bond.
well, I'll have to reduce my payment then.
Let's see, maybe-
This is so preliminary. It
Increase your
means,
rates,
So where
get
do you-
more customers, there's a few things you can do.
yeah, cut costs.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, that's, so when does all this kind of thing get figured out? Because, I mean, I feel like the rinks may be kind of maxed out at this point, so I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know
My
how much more.
instincts tell me that we can double our revenue by doing summer activities. And I keep saying it, Rachel's saying it, roller skating. Side by sides, remember those wheels?
Well, that's what I'm saying, so the increased revenue from the facility could help pay for the new bond.
Yeah, I mean, this year, our net profit was $125,000. So we could be making a $100,000 bond payment this year right now. I'm not saying every year's been this good, but we're close to right now being successful
You
enough
know,
to make
what
bond
would be
payments.
helpful is actually just take a stab at what 3.1 million in a bond would look like. Just-
What interest rate would you say it
Yeah,
would be?
Well-
I don't know. I
3.5, 4? I don't know.
I had old,
Yeah, I think that's.
We don't have to do
just
it right
did-
now, everybody.
We just did like one for the county, and I think it came in around 4. But at any rate, it'd be helpful if you did the bond payment just to give an idea of what the budget.
I have it
would
here,
be.
just happened to be lit up, a $3 million bond for 20 years at 4%. The monthly payment would be $18,100. So times 12 would be 180
96.
and plus, so it'd be like 200,000 a year for a $3 million bond.
yeah.
So even if you don't collect all of the 300,000, if you collected an additional 150, the town might consider, I don't know.
It just gives you a
We're getting
ballpark
close,
on
right.
that
Yeah.
out there. It helps. It'll help you if as you're finagling, if you know what the basic bond nut is to crack, it'll help.
Yeah, I think, so, I've been in this town a long time. So, I think there have been some projects, in my humble opinion, that have been presented to the community without good financial figures. And we have to be really good about that. And we don't, I'm not saying it should be figured out now, but whenever it gets to the point where you're not only bringing your design, but you have to show what's the value to the community in terms of usage, but also what's it gonna cost me? What is the real money part? Because sometimes that doesn't always come out the way it ends up, right? And I think we have to be as good as we can to try and make those two things match, right? What we're saying versus what actually happens.
Yeah,
And I don't know anything about all this stuff, so someone else, you guys will figure all that out, but,
You lost me. Started.
yeah. So,
I have a
Chris?
couple
Yeah.
lightning round for you here. So, does your plan assume the same number of months a year of having ice, or does it?
maybe a little, like at least another month in the beginning.
Okay.
There isn't really demand at the end of the season to continue the season because everything ends. All the youth hockey tournaments happen, state championships happen,
Yeah,
and it's really the beginning of the season where we're short.
okay.
There may be opportunity to have like some sort of a tournament extended a week or something like that, but I don't see extending it any further than that, and I don't see that there's demand to build it so it can operate in the summer. Because there's one aspect of constructing a rink, it's called a warm slab underneath your cold slab to keep frost from going down in the ground. That's quite expensive, that if you don't intend to have summer ice, you don't need it. So that's,
And you're not set up for that?
no, we're not set up for that currently.
Okay, all right. So, and what about like air conditioning? Is there?
There would be air
It
conditioning.
would be, okay, so be
Yeah.
comfortable for other kinds of things?
Yep, there has to be air conditioning and dehumidification, and that's in the current numbers.
Just top of mind, outside of roller skating, what are other things you think might be attractive?
Pickleball, lots of pickleball.
That
They-
was a loaded answer.
Yeah, well, I seriously been thinking of the two biggest incomes that I've thought of so far are pickleball
Yeah.
and roller skating. And there's all like, just like during our regular winter season, we have public skating and then we have pond hockey. We make $1,500 at public skating and we make $75 at pond hockey sometimes, So there's good ones and there's bad ones. And I haven't really been thinking about all the little bad ones or not as profitable events we'd put in, but there would be those things too.
Yeah.
But you could do, like, years ago now, I looked at the floor we would want to put in here, which is one of the reasons the Zamboni room is so big, is you need to store it in the off season. But it could be lined, like you tell that company what to line it with. You want tennis courts, you want pickleball lines, you want roller derby. That seems to be coming up in the world. They just had it in Durham, Dover. Anyway, the sky's the limit. And it's not a ton of money to be made in the summer, but I just know how much money we make on public skating. And if we have rental roller skates, we'll be like a huge draw to Durham. And I say that because I watch the news about these things. There's a new roller skate place is it in Manchester? It's tiny and small. But people are talking all the time, what can we do with the kids? And roller skating would be a great one. Would be a great one.
And then special events, kind of renting the whole space out,
Yeah.
is that another?
Yep. We can't do that really right now because we don't have an alarm system, a fire alarm system or sprinklers. So really we can't have trade shows and graduations and stuff like that now because it's against code. But we could eventually if we have that stuff.
And then the two columns, with rec, without rec, what entails rec? What is it?
All that stuff out back.
The offices, the
Yep.
multipurpose, that whole
The whole
stretch?
hallway out back with the bathrooms and whatnot, and then the multi-purpose room.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
So it's like $2.25 million
Yeah.
was added to the estimate when I added rec.
I think having that multi-purpose room though really opens it up for more use.
Yeah.
Not just by your department, but in general. It's a great location.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious what the definition, is there a going description of what a multi-purpose room ought to be? How big does it need to be to really support, if you want a full court basketball in there, if you want to have, I don't know, what other kinds of things? Is that the right size? Is that the right dimension to make it as versatile as it could be?
I think your footprint of your land
Yeah.
footprint is the limiting range.
Right, I
Yeah.
realize it was probably
Yeah.
defined
Yeah.
based on the constraints, but
Bigger the better, of course, right? If we could have a basketball court size
Yeah.
facility.
I know it would be heavily used because just district-wide, that's a huge challenge
Oh,
for
it's a shortage.
the school, the rec, ORYA.
Specifically basketball court space?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
there's just not enough
Yeah.
for the demand.
and then obviously all kinds of workout classes, yoga,
Yeah.
all,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we have several classes right now that we do at our building, but we're very limited based on space and, the population of people that are coming in or the age of the people that are coming in to do the class. Sometimes our space is not ideal for them. Specifically in the wintertime, it's really challenging. So yeah, we're always coordinating and working around someone else's schedule, which makes it really challenging for us to plan anything ahead.
yeah.
And one other little tidbit about all this project stuff is that another issue, there's some issues, right? But one I definitely see would come down the road is parking. And I just want everyone to keep in mind that the town does own the land right across the street from the entrance to the rink. However, it has been deemed during like the renovation of that whole area back in whenever it happened, the 70s or 80s, whenever it was, they put in the boat ramp and all that stuff, is it was designated wetlands. But I have been told by a couple people who know that business that there's ways to use it still. So either more parking or maybe the playground, like Rachel and I have talked, like, what can we use that land for to make that? And I think we need the report back from UNH And hopefully they say, you need more parking. We say, we got a place for it right here. And even like some sort of a cul-de-sac turnaround place, because pickup and drop off at the rink is like a constant nightmare out there. It would be nice to have some sort of like a loop road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think
could-
that's a good point, because I was down there this winter one time, and yeah, the kids are crossing right
Yeah.
where all the cars are going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I
that may
think it would
never,
be a shame if we don't have adequate parking.
right, and we,
So, yeah, think about the safety aspect of it, but also it's
Yeah.
got to be there.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we typically have it's during changeover from one event to the other. So if you got a busy public skate
Yeah.
and like a high school game,
Yeah.
then we're gonna have an issue, you know?
Well, maybe you look at your scheduling a little bit differently then, you know? I don't know. Yeah.
Is the street wide enough to park on?
What's that?
Is the street wide enough to park on one side of it going past the building or?
Way down towards the dead end, you mean? I think it is, but it's been deemed no parking down there forever. It used to be more narrow, and I think they just continued with that. I'm sure the neighbors wouldn't like it, but I've always looked down there and said you could easily put one side parking down there.
For a game or something?
So we are getting close to our usual adjournment time. So any last questions for Bill or comments? So next steps then are the engineer, a civil engineer, and then what?
And then financial feasibility study continuation. But I think, like, I haven't talked to them about this yet. We've been on hold for quite a while with those, with that company that we hired to do the feasibility study. But I really think, like, my funding ideas needs to be sort of firm from the town's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Before we say to them, hey, this is all we need to raise, or this is what we need to raise. Like, I think we should give them a real number to work with, not, hey, let's see if we can raise the whole 12 million, right?
Yeah.
Because I hate to have it come back and say, no, you can't raise that, so we're all done.
So is the financial feasibility study only looking at what they think we can raise? Or does it look at all of it?
It's kind of I don't work for them, and I'm not as good as they are at describing what they do and how they do
Yeah.
it. But they basically develop a list of people that they're going to interview with I forgot what they call it right off the top of my head, but they interview the people and they get the names from us and they interview them and ask them all the same questions, and they come back to us and they say, they know for somehow, because that's what they do, they know that you ought to be able to get X amount of dollars from this person, this person, this person. They add it all up and they say, here's what you think you can do.
Okay, so they are kind of keying in on the donation part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the referendum, not
And then
the- Okay,
we end up doing the asking. They don't do the asking, like,
yeah,
we end up doing the
They
asking.
coach
Coach
you through it.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, as I said, they're
Well, good.
taking
I
the
think
coffee
that's
and
good
asking
you
for
have
$5
them.
million.
Yeah.
I'll get the coffee. So
Al?
anyway, Kathy and I, like, she knows, they just went through this up in Hanover. They're still going through it up in Hanover because they renovated the rink where she and I both grew up. And her brother was on the committee, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he
Something
is.
to do with it, yeah.
Yeah. And they raised $5 million, and I'm friends with the head of the group that runs the rink, and it was hard. And that's Hanover, but for some reason, having spent time in both places, I feel like there's more emotional support for that rink in this community than there is in Hanover. I don't know why I feel that way, but I really feel
And
like,
it wasn't a whole redo, you know, was it? It wasn't an entire redo. I mean, they already had a pretty good rink, right?
well,
It was just sort
no,
of.
they're basically redoing the whole
Oh, they
rink,
don't?
like we
Okay.
want to do.
All right.
They added a lobby, they redid all the locker rooms, they added
Yeah.
like 4 locker rooms. They were doing the concrete slab, well, they're putting a slab in, they've only had sand.
I do think, you know, given the current climate, it is going to be a tough thing. I
I know.
think raising money
yeah,
is
no,
going to
I-
be a hard go, and so I don't think we
headed
can
for a
necessarily
recession.
depend on that, you know, but I'm glad you have the group that's really able to look at that and say,
Yeah.
here's what we think is reasonable for
Yeah.
you to think about raising, and then maybe that can dictate all the rest of the financial pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
tricky part will be is like, you know, what do we do if we only think we can fund half of this drawing here? Then it's like,
Yeah, I mean, figure it out.
Well, that's the good news, like you fixing all those leaks, you're the MacGyver of your building as you
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Well, Bill, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Sorry
That
I
was
took so
really
long.
good work.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. It was good stuff. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
I think, given the time, I think we will, Rachel can do her next thing really quickly, the committee funding request.
Yeah, it was for the stencil for the pickleball courts, but I just went ahead and purchased it through Parks and Rec. So I thought maybe, given the kayak racks, that would be that might be a better project for the committee to support
Okay.
the materials for that. It's, you know, a good benefit to the community. It's something that,
Do you want to bring it to us at the next meeting?
yeah.
Or is that too early?
Should have some more information after the May 28th, or April 28th
Okay.
meeting. Although I'm not gonna personally be there for that. But I'm gonna send Kelly.
Okay. All right. So nothing that we have to do with that today?
No.
Okay. So I think what we'll plan to do here is take off the goals work. We won't talk about that today. I appreciate all of you that got in touch about different parts of things that you might want to be involved in. So I'll think about that a little bit more and get back to you all. The trails part, I'll be honest, I don't really have a lot of specific ideas on how to move forward with that. I think Veronique, we can.
Yeah, I think
we
you
can
support
help.
her, like
Yeah.
BioBlitz, and there's
Yeah.
a few other initiatives
Okay.
and things to that nature.
So the one thing I did want to do, though, is I did want to give the ARC update. Rachel and I met with Dr. Ferguson and Matt Fry a little while ago. So the data analysis is done. They're doing the report writing right now. The report definitely does have key findings. And then if you remember the survey that we did, there were 3 parts, and it was a lot about not just usage, but also perceptions. What do you think should be there? What works, what doesn't work? I think is a good, that describe it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, yeah, in agreeance of,
Perceptions mostly.
yes.
Yeah, okay. And that was there was one part for Jackson's Landing, one for Woodridge, and one for general department, Parks and Recreation Department and programming. So they will provide like a data snapshot, and then they have a numerical score in terms of, how many people thought this would be a good use of this property, or, you know what I mean, right? Data stuff. So what they'll do is they will finalize a draft of the report. We're hoping we'll be getting it around May 1, somewhere in there. We can review it. You don't have to review it if you don't want to. But we could send it for the committee's review. It shouldn't be shared with anyone. It's just a draft. Shouldn't be really talked about, the data, until it's finally released. And what we could provide input on, obviously not the data, because that is what it is, right? But is how the report written, does it make sense? Like, do we understand it? If they say something here, do we know what that means? And do we think other people will know what it means? Those sorts of things. Is there something maybe that we feel like should be more highlighted that they didn't highlight? So it would be that kind of review. So the one thing I was thinking about was kind of the timeline, which is if we get it, around May 1, let's say that first week of May, Rachel was saying that she would prefer that they come to the May meeting, which is May 27, to kind of present it, rather than June. But I don't know if that's enough time. We would have to turn around our comments really quickly. They would then have to take our comments and be able to make those changes.
Yeah.
So we could just wait and see what happens.
Sure. I mean, I was saying May because of the whole timeline for the budget as
Yeah, I
well.
know. Right.
But if it doesn't make sense, and, I want to obviously do things right versus rushing it.
Yep.
But they could present at the 527 meeting with even draft comments, and then,
I
or
don't know.
do they only want to present once? Is that it? And,
Well, I think they
They're-
want it to be done
Yeah.
when they present. They don't want to be part here, part there, which I agree with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's not like a lot of room for edits and things to that, you know, like,
Because it's mostly data, I
it's
think,
right.
yeah.
It's the report, it's their final report. So
Yeah.
like, I think what Kathy said about just making sure it's clear of
Yeah.
what they're presenting makes sense. That's the kind of thing that they would take the feedback on, but
Because we had that, we did the $20,000 HOP grant that we did, which is the housing opportunities, or housing needs assessment for the town. And we had them come and present the draft. And we got a lot of feedback. But there were some revisions that came, but the most important thing is they were able to give their first draft part to it, and it gave our impressions. So, you know, that may help drive some of what our revisions may be after they do it, rather than just taking the report. So, I mean, if you get the report May 1st, everybody should have had a chance to read it by the 27th, and they give a presentation. You could then ask some questions for clarity, and that may, because they're not going to want to do a substantive rewrite of it. It'll just maybe be some minor edits.
yeah, no, I think they want to present like more or less a final.
Well, I mean, they're open to input, of course. I guess I would rather have them have our input
First.
to be able to work on somehow, massage it somehow before they present it to us.
I mean, you can.
Because I
see-
think other things are going to come up as we're looking at it, right? We're not going to.
I mean, you can see May 1st, kind of, you'll see when you look at the, I don't know how long the report is, the needs assessment was like 75 dense pages, which was kind of a hard slog through. But if it's not, you'll get a better idea when you look at it May 1st,
Yeah.
that maybe the May 27th is not enough time, and then do it in June,
Yeah.
but you
Does-
guys,
Does the council meet in July?
I'm not sure if it's
Maybe only
one meeting
once.
in July.
Yeah.
I think it's one meeting in July. I'll tell you in just a second.
Because that was the other thing then, was after us, we know that they will present to the council as well, and, you know, we could talk to Todd and Joe about that too.
Yeah, they meet on the 7th, but not the 2nd. There's typically 2 in a month. There's only going to be one, it looks like, in July, and that would be July 7th,
Okay.
a Monday.
And my budget's due in August. So,
So,
Well, I have a feeling you'll be able to get some pretty good work on that even before the council says anything, and then you adjust it after, right? But, okay, well, maybe we just kind of see how the timing falls.
could you move like the Parks and Rec meeting in June a little? Because instead of having it at the very end, let's just say you look at the thing, you get it May 1st, it's not going to be ready by May 27th, but in theory, you could be ready by mid-June, just to give a little bit more time for them to do a presentation to you, react, and then turn around by July 7th and do.
because they want to present to the council too.
Well, I think yeah, they do, but I think we also said to them, yeah, the council will want you to present.
Right.
And you want to do that before August, when you're doing the budget, right? So that would be
July at the
7th.
latest, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, again, if we're more flexible maybe with the time of the June. Parks
Yeah,
and Rec
I don't really want to change our meeting. I mean, the months come up fast, so.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that, I
You
hate
know.
to curse the thing, but I
Yeah.
don't think that you're gonna have substantive rewrites of the
Yeah.
report. And, you know, if they present at the June Parks and Rec meeting, they'll have also seen your comments and be able to do.
Sure.
You know, I think the important thing is that it's gonna help you with the budget, you know, and you wanna get it to the town council before August.
And then I think the other thing that we could think about is, are there other ways we want to, you know, kind of talk to the public about this, or release the report, I don't know how you say it, to the public as well. So maybe that's something you can all kind of think about. They I think, are willing to do kind of as many presentations as they need to.
Is it gonna, it'll have an executive summary, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, probably.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the thing that we found with that housing needs assessment is like the chances of John Q. Public reading the 74-page thing was
Yeah.
low, but the executive summary is good, and that one you can clearly put in Friday updates and all that, and
Yeah.
you get a higher probability that somebody will read it and get through it.
Right. That's-
Yeah, and it's basically, they use the term generalized findings that represent all of the community.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the survey and everything is all about,
So Erin is still on this committee, right?
Yes.
Yes, and doesn't she specialize in that kind of
Yeah.
communications and?
That was.
Oh, no, that was Jen.
Oh, no,
Jen,
yeah.
Sorry.
But it's just something for us to think about. I just want to make sure that we're sharing it with as many people and in as many ways as we can. But at the same time, at some point, then you got to move forward, right?
Yeah.
So. All right, so does that sound good to everyone? If you don't have time to review it, or you're out of town at the time or whatever, that's fine, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see what we get and kind of see where we go from there.
Maybe you can also, as you look at it,
Yeah.
give a suggestion for this committee on
Yeah.
how soon you'd like feedback
Yeah.
back after we
Okay.
get it.
And I'll talk to them again about that too, and we
Okay.
can think about the whole
Knowing
schedule
all
again.
these other dates.
Yeah.
If it's possible.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm fine with them, with us reviewing, talking about it at our meeting in May, and then having them do the presentation in June to the committee and July to the council. If that makes the most sense to make sure everyone's clear and the information's being,
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't know. Think about that, and I'll ask them what they think about it.
I mean, I think they were feeling, I got the impression that they were feeling potentially like presenting to the committee in May was a little rushed
Yeah, I do too.
after giving us the report, so.
Yeah, I mean, June was definitely their preference,
Yeah.
May was your preference, so, yeah. Which I understood both, so. All right, anything else? Thank you for going a little late. So we'll talk more about goals next time. Is there anything else anyone wants to include on the May agenda? If you think of anything later, let me know. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'm so moved.
Okay. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Always the best movie.
Sometimes wonder why all the flowers had to die. I dream about you and now. Summer's come and gone, and the nights they seem so long. Come on over tonight. Come on over. It's gonna be a cool night. Just let me hold you by the firelight. If it don't feel right, you children not to do what I have done. Spend your lives in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun.
Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around. They say you got a boyfriend, you're out late every weekend. They're talking about you and it's bringing me down. But I know the neighborhood, and talk is cheap when the story is good, and the tales grow taller on down the line. But I'm telling you, babe, that I don't think it's true, babe. And even if it is, keep this in mind. You take it on the run, baby, if that's the way you want it, baby. Then I don't want you around. I don't believe it, not for a minute. You're under the gun, so you take it on the run. You're thinking of your white lies, you're putting on your bedroom eyes. You say you're coming home, but you won't say when. But I can feel it coming. If you leave tonight, keep running, and you need never look back again. You take it on the run, baby, if that's the way you want it, baby. Then I don't want you around. I don't believe it, not for a minute. You're under the gun, so you take it on the run.
one told me about her, the way she lied. Well, no one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had tan, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. Well, no one told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her, though they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had tan, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had tan, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
Back on gold dust woman, take your silver spoon, dig your grave. Heartless challenge, pick your path and not afraid. Wake up in the morning, see your sunrise, love go down. Thousand lovers pick their prey, but they never found out. Cry out. Or did she make you cry, make you break down, shatter your illusions of love? And is it over now? Do you know how? Pick up the pieces and go home. Back on ancient we follow those who pale in your shadow. Rulers make bad lovers. You better put your kingdom up for sale. Up for sale. Or did she make you cry, make you break down, shatter your illusions of love? Well, is it over now? Do you know how? Pick up the pieces and go home. Or did she make you cry, make you break down, shatter your illusions of love? And now tell me, is it over now? Do you know how to pick up the pieces and go
town. In a 8-room farmhouse, baby, with my brothers and friends around. There was always something doing. Had me a couple of real nice girlfriends. Stop by to see me every once in a while. When I think back about those days, all I can do is sit and smile. That's when sport was sport, and grooving was grooving, and dancing with everything. We were young and we were improving, laughing, laughing with our friends. Holding hands meant something, baby. Outside the club, cherry bomb. Our hearts were really thumping. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah.
The winter days, they last forever.
But the weekends went by so quick. Went riding around this little country town. We were going nuts, girl, out in the sticks. One night, you with my big mouth. Couple guys had to put me in my place. When I see those guys these days, we just laugh and say, do you remember when? That's when sport was sport, and grooving was grooving, dancing with everything. We were young and we were improving, laughing, laughing with our friends. Holding hands meant something, baby. Outside the club, cherry bomb. Our hearts were really pumping. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. 17 has turned 35. I'm surprised that we're still living. If we've done any wrong, I hope that we're forgiven. Got a few kids of my own, and some days I still don't know what to do. I hope that they're not laughing too loud when they hear me talking like